Welcome to the Flynn Brothers podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Jimmy. Today's big idea, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man with the perfect body.
We dive deep on the one-of-a-kind life lived by the Austrian Superman, touching on his rough childhood and examining his breakthrough into worldwide fame with the documentary Pumping Iron.
Later, we evaluate his film career, including his iconic turn as the Terminator, his starring roles in Predator and Total Recall, as well as his ignominious rendition of Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
Finally, we'll look back on his 8 years as governor of California and ponder which, if any, of his remarkable lifetime achievements will ever be replicated.
It's all coming up. But first, here's the Solons.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. 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 Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Well, buddy, I hate to break it to you, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is old.
How old?
You guess. You tell me. How old do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger is?
Well, you said he's old. So
He's old.
I guess somewhere in his 70s.
He's in his late 70s.
Wow, 77.
He is 78.
78. My God. Now, his beard is white, but his hair is chestnut brown. So, forgive me for being fooled.
Yeah, well, it's a very convincing dye job. But yes, it's, I think, somewhat sad. This is a man who once stood at the pinnacle of multiple professions and now is certainly well on the back half of his life. And he's sort of turned into a bit of a punchline. I think most recently he made news for his rather messy and disgraceful divorce that resulted from him impregnating his maid and, breaking from Maria Shriver and all the money. And, I think the other way that he lives on in pop culture really now is just the hacky impression that most people do of him. If you wouldn't mind treating us to some of it.
Arnold. I was thinking of one as this podcast because you've accused my Arnold of sounding like Christoph Waltz, the actor in Inglourious Bastards. So if you don't mind, I'd like to do Christoph Waltz saying hi to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is that all right?
Please, please.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, nice to meet you.
Very good.
Good.
Very good.
A couple of Austrians getting along.
I'm sure they. I wonder if they've ever crossed paths. But this isn't about
Christoph
Waltz.
No.
This is about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And to me, he's become a punchline. But I am here to say, and I am, spearheading this podcast, if you will, to say Arnold Schwarzenegger is no joke. Arnold Schwarzenegger has lived one of the most remarkable lives that any human being has ever lived. He is a fairy tale come to life. He is the man with the perfect body. And his life basically is just how far can having a perfect body mixed with charisma get you?
Yeah.
And the answer is extremely far.
It's interesting. I would push back a little against your straw man that Arnold is a punchline nowadays. I would say that was the case more 5-10 years ago when this news first kind of broke and there were all the punchlines about it and just the Arnold impressions and stuff. I think now the last few years has been kind of what we're doing. It's been very retrospective. As he's entered the twilight of his life, I think there is this appreciation for him. I think when most people think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, they don't really think of the affair or, maybe they do the impression, but I think more his legacy of achievements and, this notion of his perfect body. It's been so long since we knew him as the action star, as the bodybuilder. So I think it'll be very interesting to kind of go back in time and relive some of these moments in Schwarzenegger's life.
Yes. Well, to do that, we have to start at the very beginning.
As with all things, huh?
Yes. He grows up hard and poor in post-World War II Austria. Not a place you'd want to go.
No, right near the shit, right near the epicenter of it all.
Yeah, I mean the country is blown to bits and rubble. There's austerity measures, and on top of all of this, Arnold's father, he's a police officer, a former member of the Nazi Party.
Is that right?
It is right.
Wow, I did not know that. That is staggering.
And, you may not, maybe you'd be able to put this together based on that fact, but he's not exactly a good guy.
No, probably not really a Mr. Cleaver type of father.
No, he beats Arnold regularly. He openly prefers his older brother to him, partly because he suspected Arnold was not his kid.
Oh, God.
So you have a Nazi father who prefers your older brother and suspects you're not even his child. He nicknames Arnold Cinderella.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
His dad called him Cinderella. Boy,
Makes him do
boy.
push-ups before breakfast. The idea at the time and in this culture, there was a sort of a socialist Austria, was to force conformity in Arnold's mind. And Arnold, he's not a conformist. No. He's a rebel. He's somebody who dreams of standing out. He's driven to leave. He's going to say, it's like, screw you, screw this. I'm going to leave this small town. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be somebody. It's sort of like the open of Boogie Nights.
Yes, it is a little bit. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be somebody. How many over under on the Arnold impressions? I can't even imagine. But yeah, no, it's not exactly shocking. I mean, so many great, iconic people grow up in harsh conditions, right? It almost seems to be at times like par for the course. If you want to be a great, memorable, iconic person, you need a tough upbringing, it seems.
Yeah, this crucible really that formed him. But at the age of 14 and 15, he starts discovering bodybuilding. And there's this kind of cool story that he tells, like the first time he really impressed some big guys, like some weightlifter guys. There was just a tree branch, and they were doing pull-ups on it. And Arnold's like, oh, I'll try it. And he can do just 2 pull-ups, barely gets it. And the guys are like, you've got a good sort of physique. You'll be able to do 20 in no time. And Arnold really kind of finally gets, I think, this positive male presence in his life and really gloms onto this. Eventually, he's invited to work out with these older men, and he attracts the attention of Mr. Austria at the time, Kurt Marl, who sort of takes Arnold under his wing. And Arnold, he's the natural. He's taken to bodybuilding like a fish into water. But this is interrupted by, in Austria, you have to serve in the army for a year. So in 1965, Arnold goes into basic training, which coincides with Junior Mr. Europe, the bodybuilding competition, and Arnold goes AWOL during his his basic training. He wins Junior Mr. Europe and then comes back with the trophy. You're the night guard on duty, and you've discovered that Arnold is out of his bunk. How do you feel seeing him come back and he's won the competition?
Schwarzenegger, where the hell were you? Right? You'd be mad at him.
Yeah.
He went AWOL. He went absent without official leave.
But Sarge, I have won the Junior Mr. Europe. I have the most beautiful body of all European young men.
Junior Mr. Europe
Junior
is also
Mr.
just
Europe.
awesome, hilarious name for a competition.
So he's thrown into the brig, into jail for a week or so, and then they put him on kitchen duty, is the famous story, and they're secretly proud of him. They can't show it, because the other recruits, you can't have everybody just going AWOL every time. But Arnold, it's like, hey, you make sure you clean up that kitchen, Mr. Private Schwarzenegger, and those steaks, you make sure those steaks get taken care of. You make sure those leftover steaks.
They'd feed him by giving him kitchen duty as a way they could kind of help bulk him up, right?
Yeah.
I think I've heard this story before where in the military he was like losing weight because they fed him so little and made him work out so much, but this way they're getting him the good protein. They didn't know as much about protein back then as we do.
They did not. And he would do workouts even beyond what's being done in basic training. Basic training known for being as grueling as possible. The one thing, do you know what Arnold, like kind of what division that Arnold was in the military?
I don't. What?
It was fascinating to me in my research. I found that he was a tank driver.
Oh.
A tank driver, which
funny.
I think is a very fitting metaphor for Arnold's life. You get in this unstoppable machine and you go wherever it is that you want to go.
You just blast through
Yeah.
whatever's in your way. Yeah, it's a good metaphor.
He tells a story of one of his sergeants was trying to sort of test his mettle as a tank driver, and he says, drive the tank out on that frozen lake.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Good way to lose a $50 million tank, huh?
Yeah, and Arnold's like, every other kid would be like, no, I'm not doing that, obviously not. And Arnold's like, all right, Sarge. Terrible, and they're getting worse. And he's just goes straight ahead. The ice is cracking, freezing water coming up to his shoulders, and the guy's like, all right, that's enough. It was basically just like a test to see how far are you willing to push it. And, Arnold throughout his life, I think, has been known for pushing it as far as he was physically capable of doing.
Yes, he is a man who has always tested his limits. He's a bit of a crazy bastard, isn't he?
Yes.
He's a little crazy.
That's exactly right. So after he gets out of the army, he served his year. He wins Mr. Europe this time. No more junior.
No more,
Mr. Europe.
no more junior.
Yeah. His goal is to be the greatest of all time, the best bodybuilder that there's ever been. He wins Mr. Universe then 5 times.
Yes, I believe one of them he beats the Incredible Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno,
Well,
right?
you're thinking of Mr. Olympia.
Oh,
So there is Mr. Universe,
excuse
which is
me.
open to basically amateurs from all around the world. Once you win Mr. Universe, you are invited to Mount Olympus to compete among the other gods, and you are for Mr. Olympia there.
I love Mr. Universe. It's sort of like the World Series, right? Where, it's only American teams playing in the World Series. But if you win the World Series, all the best baseball teams are in America. You are the best in the world.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mr. Universe, right? It's like if you're the buffest, most studly horse in all of this competition, we're just going to go ahead and say you're number one in the universe. We haven't discovered, we know there's some water on a couple of the planets. We just haven't discovered other life forms. So we'll go ahead and say universe.
There's certainly no other humans out there.
That's true. That's true.
So he wins Mr. Olympia. It's the most prestigious of competitions. He wins it at 23. He's the youngest ever. And this is in 1970. And Mr. Olympia is judged on your physique. It's a balance of muscle mass, definition, and symmetry.
Is that different than from Mr. Universe? But they're pretty similar.
No, they're
right?
the same. It's different from, say, like World's Strongest Man, where the
it's-
goal is just to be
yeah,
as
okay.
strong as possible.
This is more aesthetic.
Yes.
This is more aesthetic.
Yes, and Arnold approaches this in a way that is a kind of a mix between a scientist and an artist. The way that I would describe it, and he talks about this in Pumping Iron very eloquently, it's like if Michelangelo decided to turn himself into David. Like that is what Arnold is doing.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so he says that, his body is in perfect proportion. He talks about, if I make one muscle 1/4 inch bigger, I got to make all the other muscles 1/4 inch big. And I think bodybuilding now there's way more steroids being used in it. The guys are lacquering themselves up in like shoe polish tanning.
Yeah, what's with the tan? Like,
don't know.
it's so odd. I see like videos online, and they're like leathery, weirdly fake tan. That didn't used to be a thing. Did
No, Arnold is like naturally suntanned
Right,
in Pumping Iron.
Because
And-
he's like working out at Venice Beach in the sun, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think bodybuilders today, there's something that's kind of like icky about it. Like it's just like, it's too much, and these muscles look all wrong, and they're like shot full of water, and they just look weird. Arnold does not look weird. Arnold looks like Zeus. Arnold is swaggering around the gym and Pumping Iron like a lion. Like he is Mufasa, is basically the character that he's playing. And so Pumping Iron is filmed in 1975, where Arnold is going for, I believe, his 5th or 6th straight victory
Mr. Universe.
of Mr.
Okay,
Universe.
okay.
Yeah, it's an all-time great documentary.
It is, yes. I've only seen it once. It was a number of years ago. You rewatched it recently, didn't
Rewatched
you?
it recently.
Yeah.
Arnold leaps off the screen.
Yes,
I mean, he just has the most charisma you could possibly imagine a person having. He's hamming it up for the camera. You mentioned Lou Ferrigno, who plays the Incredible Hulk in the 1980s. Lou Ferrigno, God bless him. he is not an intellectual.
No, he's kind of your typical sort of meathead jock, isn't he? Whereas, yeah, Arnold, there's a real intelligence, there's a real charisma, very articulate. We're really just what I remember from Pumping Iron is you just can tell he's going to be a star.
Yeah, the beginning of Pumping Iron is with a ballet dancer who's showing them different poses that they can do and ways to transition between the poses, because she very astutely notes they're looking at you the whole time.
Right.
They're not just looking at you when you're flexing. They want to see, the transitions and the grace. And Arnold is just lapping this up. Like
sponge.
Yeah. And he has all of these different theories on it. There's a very famous monologue about him talking about when he pumps his muscles and where they fill with blood and it feels like the skin is about to burst, and he equates it to the heights of pleasure, if you will.
Wow.
And he says, like me, I am at home, I am coming, in the gym, I am coming, when I win Mr. Universe, I am coming. So he is like literally the original influencer, where you're saying something really shocking that is going to get people's attention. And he's just like, no one is not going to know who I am after this. He's chiseled, he's handsome, he's boyish, he's puckish, he's totally at ease. He's a macho man among other macho men. And Lou Ferrigno, poor guy, he has his dad with him, who's sort of his like manager and hype man to kind of help him understand. But they show Lou Ferrigno working out, whereas when Arnold's working out, it's just pure intensity, but he also just looks great and awesome. With Ferrigno, it's like, I want to beat him, Dad. Like his voice literally cracks, and he's doing exercise, and he's like, Arnold, and it's just, it's
he's
sad.
got kind of like a lispy, boyish voice, doesn't he? Oh boy, that's a boy. Yeah.
And so they eventually get to the competition, and Arnold has defeated Ferrigno before they've even gone out on the stage and posed. They have this famous breakfast scene where Arnold's sizing up Ferrigno. Ferrigno is larger than Arnold is. And he's like, Lou, you timed it wrong. In a month, you'd be perfect. You'd be perfect in a month. You did it too early. And that Lou's shaking. He's like, no, Arnold, no. And he's like, but then in a month, I'd be bigger too. So what can you do? He's just completely in his head.
Oh, God, man. That's so funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned him being a little smaller, because Arnold, I forget his exact height. He's like 5'10" or 5'9" or something like that.
He's maybe
tall.
just under 6 foot.
Yeah, because I remember when he was governor, I was in student council, and we went to the Capitol, and I stood pretty close to Arnold. I was like, I'm about Arnold's height. I was like because you see him in the movies and Pumping Iron, you expect him to just be huge,
Yes, they actually inflate his height a bit in Pumping Iron, and they bend the truth a little bit. But basically, after watching this, Arnold, he wins. He looks phenomenal. There's nothing gross about his body. And then he does one pose, like he's just like basically a Michelangelo sculpture brought to life. And then he does one pose where he kind of torques his arms into a couple of like parentheses and juts out his neck and basically just flexes everything that is in his entire body. Like it'd be like what a kid would do if they lost the video game. Like, and he is just like horrifying. Like it's the one instant where they show the lion, taking down the gazelle. Most of the time it's just pure majesty and beauty. Basically what you think after watching this is, if there was to be a movie star draft in the way that the NBA drafts players, Arnold is Wembanyama.
Yes, number one overall. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's got all the charisma you could possibly want. Would you care to take some guesses at his personal records for weight lifting?
I'm going to give you classes of like a dumbbell or
I'll tell you.
That?
So the exercise is squat. How much do you think is the most Arnold has ever squatted?
What do you think? 400, 500? 5.
545 pounds.
Dude, that's crazy.
Bench press. What do you think his record is for bench press?
5 again, maybe? 4? Let's say 5. 500?
520 pounds.
Dude, that is nuts.
How about the deadlift, which is just picking up?
That's just, oh, Christ. I don't know. What do you think?
750. All right, we finally
We went
overdone
over.
it. We finally overshot it. It's 683
Dude,
pounds.
that is staggering.
Truly unbelievable. And so Arnold, after this, he retires. When he wins, the announcer says, "The one and only, the greatest, Arnold Schwarzenegger." And it really just defines him at the time. There's nobody like him, nobody even close to touching him. And so he retires, and he basically gives this really nice speech, and he is backstage after being victorious, and he's smoking a joint, and he's eating fried chicken, and he's wearing a shirt that says Arnold is numero uno. And you're just like, this guy is going to be an unstoppable freight train to stardom. So he leaves for Hollywood, gets some kind of smaller roles in the beginning, and he bursts onto the scene with Conan the Barbarian in 1980. And have you ever seen this movie?
I have not. I've seen some clips, but never seen the film.
It's not thought of as a great film, but what Arnold does, and I think this is sort of his main contribution to movie stardom, is he reinvents what a superhero can look like. He basically looks like what the animators drew Conan the Barbarian to look like.
Him and Stallone in the 80s, it was the first, because you look at like Christopher Reeves as Superman, and he like basically has my musculature. And like, it was the first era where it was like, these guys are just have ripped muscles and like are in great shape. And like you said, are real, kind of comic book superheroes brought to life.
Yeah. And so during this, when he's training to get into shape for Conan the Barbarian, he decides, you know what? 1980, Mr. Olympia. I'll be the color commentator. Yeah, I'll be the color commentator. And they're kind of winding up and they're setting the stage, and then Arnold's like, why not compete? And so he leaves the booth and he competes.
Oh my God.
And he wins. He
He
wins.
takes his suit off.
He takes
and
a suit,
everything?
like
Oh
literally
my
like
God.
Superman.
Oh my
And
God.
it's awesome. And at the same time, it's a little bit controversial because the other bodybuilders think he isn't quite in the shape that he was when he won it in the past. And maybe there were some guys who were in better shape. And to boot, Arnold is 10 pounds lighter in this competition than he was at his absolute peak. But it's Arnold. He's the one and only. He's the greatest.
And part of the bodybuilding is the showmanship, and maybe it was an unfair advantage, but it is what it is. That's the game.
Yeah, he just radiates this intelligence and charisma. When he's up there, he's totally at ease. I mean, when you're flexing, you're really like flexing, like working as hard as you possibly can to show off every muscle. And Arnold's doing it with a smile on his face. Like it couldn't possibly be easier for him. And so once he's fully conquered bodybuilding, then he really, really retires and then moves into the phase of his career I think that he's probably best known for.
I'd agree. Yeah, I think when you think of all the things his perfect body has gotten him, obviously accolades for having a perfect body, politics, yes, it's quite incredible, but it's really just unbelievable. Such a one-of-a-kind movie star, and I'm very excited to chat about it.
Well, we will right after this break. Okay, this section I have titled Super Duper Star.
Yep.
I think Arnold was probably the top movie star for quite some time. What do you feel when you see starring Arnold Schwarzenegger on screen?
Yeah, I mean, there's just certain names that give you a chill when you see him on screen. Denzel Washington is one. There's just certain guys who just have great names. And, like, I forget if it's, like, Terminator 2 or which movie it is. There's one where the opening crawl of the credits, just in huge font across the screen, it just says Schwarzenegger. And it's just like... Yeah, dude, it's just like gear up, 90 minutes, like there's going to be some ass kicking, some explosions. You know exactly what you're signing up for when you do an action flick with Schwarzenegger, and it usually delivers.
Absolutely. The one I'd say that really sets the tone, Conan Barbarian just isn't a high level enough.
Did you say Conan O'Barbarian?
Conan O'Barbarian.
Conan O'Brien. That's right, he's in that. Yeah,
that'd be a pretty good.
Maybe I misheard
mashup.
you. I don't know.
Conan O'Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian is not thought of as a great film. What is thought of as a great film is Terminator.
Oh yeah.
Terminator, I think, bringing together in 1984 James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, totally. Just total hand in glove. Jimmy Cameron. I'm going to say Jimmy because I'm a fellow Jimmy.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like if I met him, he'd let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's just he just found a muse, right? He just found a perfect guy, a perfect script for him. And it's just, you don't see it too much in Hollywood anymore, but it's kismet when it happens.
Yeah, it's, why you need all the mocap and, blue aliens when you've got the most freakish physical specimen possibly imaginable.
Now, in those days, because CGI was limited, I mean, granted, there's a lot in Terminator and all James Cameron movies. Yeah, you just had to cast actors who were a special effect. His voice, his physique, he was a special effect.
And I think, too, what's so brilliant about the casting choice is Schwarzenegger plays a robot. So his voice can be wrong.
Yes,
it's actually better if it is.
And it's a guy with not a lot of acting experience. And so if the performance at times, which it does, and that first one comes across as stiff, it just works.
Yeah.
And that is just something where, like, I don't think a lot of directors, writers have figured out what makes The Rock a good performer. And so that's why a lot of his roles he kind of struggles with. The Rock's best character was The Rock, the wrestler, right?
Yes.
You have to have him playing, like, there's a lot of times they have him playing these kind of sheepish, kind of craven characters, and it's just like he has to be like arrogant, he has to be a little villainous, he has to be a little edgy, he has to be more anti-hero, he can't be so like noble Luke Skywalker good guy. And so yeah, I think with that first Terminator movie, you just take Arnold, who has a somewhat limited skill set as an actor, but obviously all these physical gifts, and again, the role is just absolutely perfect for him.
And the role, just to be specific, is Schwarzenegger is a killer assassin robot sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor, who is the mother of an unborn leader of a resistance against this, all evil sort of AI type bad guy.
He's going to quash the rebellion before it's born.
That's it. Even better is Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Light years better, in my opinion. I think Terminator 1 is really solid. We usually rate movies out of 4 stars. Everyone does 5 nowadays, which when we grew up, that's like the European style, but now everyone does 5 stars. We stick to 4.
Right.
Terminator 1, solid 3-star. Like, rewatch it, really solid, good, sets up the universe. Terminator 2, though, is a perfect movie and just a ultimate example of, I think we'll do this at some point with, there are certain movies where the sequel is just better. Dark Knight is like this. We've famously on this podcast said Pirates of the Caribbean 2 is a better one. Aliens is better than Alien. Like, once the world is established and you can kind of raise the stakes in the second one, and it's usually a little more comedic because we've already set stuff up. And yeah, dude, Terminator 2 is just a great, great example of the sequel improving pretty much every facet of the original.
Yeah. In the sequel, Arnold's killer robot is now reprogrammed to be a protector of this boy, as opposed to its destroyer, his destroyer. And then there's a more advanced version killer robot assassin that he has to fight off. It is a masterpiece film. It is the signature role of his career. I think it's the first line in his obituary.
Yeah, the Terminator movies, they'd say. But when you think of the Terminator movies, you think of Terminator 2.
Yeah, and it's come 7 years later, which I think is interesting. You would have thought that the heat of that movie would have come much sooner, but I think the wait allows Arnold to get better at acting, to become a more multifaceted performer.
James Cameron's movies, too, they were always at like the forefront of whatever technology was available at the time, so they just have like longer pre-production and production schedules. But yeah, what year is Terminator? 1980, and then Terminator 2 is 87? Is it something like that?
No, Terminator is 84, and then Terminator 2 is 91.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so the Roger Ebert, speaking of a guy who gives 4 stars to movies, I guess he gives a thumbs up and thumbs down. But when he gets a little more nuanced,
but there's 2 down or 1 down, and then 1 up or 2 up. That's the kind of the 4-star rating too.
That's right. His I think, really well summing it up as Ebert so often does about films about Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger's genius as a movie star is to find roles that build on rather than undermine his physical and vocal characteristics.
Yeah.
And I think this is that movie that does it the absolute best. And I think to your point about The Rock, like most of The Rock's roles try to undermine his vocal and physical characteristics. Like Jumanji is a great example of it, where it works to somewhat comedic effect, but it's like, why is The Rock portraying somebody who has a teenage girl inside of him? You know what I mean?
Although it is a funny kind of contrast that just ultimately sustained throughout the film doesn't really work. And yeah, it's kind of what we touched on earlier. It's just, again, Arnold picked good projects. And the great thing about Terminator 2 is there's a little more comedy in it, which Arnold is funny in a dramatic context, but he's not so funny as we'll explore kind of in his later comedies.
Yeah.
Like, he's not good enough to be in comedies, but he is good enough to add a little bit of comedy to kind of serious drama or action movies.
I think that's really well said. In Pumping Iron, too, one of the things that comes across is just he is very naturally funny.
It was the same thing with The Rock in WWE. Nobody was funnier on the mic. Like, when I'll occasionally, probably once a year, I'll just look up like The Rock, when he's doing like kind of those pump up videos, or like, talking trash to an opponent, or he's working the mic in the ring. And just he has legendary, hilarious, like towing that kind of PG-13 rated R line that was prevalent in the Attitude Era. And it's just like a shame that he has not been able to be utilized in the same way in Hollywood movies.
Yeah. Arnold, though, I think has two other really, really great, like, Pantheon masterpiece type films. The next one, I think, is Predator.
Yeah.
Where Arnold, it's basically a souped-up version of The Most Dangerous Game.
Yes,
Like,
I would say so.
There's an alien hunter, the greatest hunter in the universe, comes to Earth and hunts not just man, but the most dangerous man, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And what's that line? Return to the helicopter.
Get to the chopper.
Oh, that's it. I forgot that. All right, there we go. We also forgot I'll be back.
Yes.
We got to be doing all the greatest hits lines as we're going through, don't we?
You're right. Well, glad we checked those boxes. In Arnold, in this one, he's the head of a crew of badasses in a jungle, which is just like, that is a perfect Arnold role.
I'm spacing who else is it. I know Carl Weathers is in it, and then I'm forgetting who else.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
That's it. Jesse the Body. I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
And
that's right.
and then there are a bunch of other guys who maybe aren't as well known in names now, but all just like thoroughbred horses.
It's
like
just stud horses. Yeah, for
studs
sure.
everywhere you look. And
That's why we like it.
yeah, of course. He, though, Arnold, is the stud among studs. He is the
Absolutely.
alpha and omega.
That's right.
He is incredible. Like, I think that's also what makes him so impressive, is you are putting him around other guys who are just outrageously ripped. And Arnold is obviously the leader, obviously the head of it. So yes, he does say, get to the chopper at one point. And basically, as the movie goes along, they're on a rescue mission, and then they slowly but surely realize that this predator thing is picking them off one by one. And it's not the bad guys that they're hunting down, it's this other thing. And the way that it ends is Arnold, the predator, can detect heat, and so Arnold covers himself in mud and then throws mud on the predator and then guns it down. And he is the number one predator in the universe after that. He truly is Mr. Universe after that.
Yeah, after you kill the alien, then you can be Mr. Universe. Good one. Very clever, buddy. Very clever. Yeah.
Thanks. The other one that I really, really like from Arnold is Total Recall.
Yeah, I have it kind of a little step above Predator. I think Predator's solid. Obviously spawned a franchise. I think it's really solid. It definitely is like your classic kind of 80s action movie with the cliches and everything. But Total Recall, just I think one of his funnier roles. I think just a very, very fun movie. I think they remade it with like Colin Farrell, like only like 20 years after they'd made the movie. It just didn't make any sense. But yeah, the original holds up so well and is, I think, next to Terminator 2, maybe his best movie.
Yeah, for those who don't really remember, this company that sells people memories. So instead of going on a vacation, you get the memory of having gone on a vacation. Arnold is a construction worker, and he wants to have a big adventure on Mars. And so they strap him in this machine, and they're like, all right, we're going to give you a memory of having an adventure on Mars. And then it's like, everything's going haywire. Everything's wrong. It's like, sir, you're needed back on Mars to overthrow this dictator who's taken over everything and making life miserable for people. And so what it does is it plays with, is Arnold's life that he had been living, is that his real life and the implanted memory fake, or is his real life fake and is this implanted memory what's actually real?
And you're making it sound a lot more complicated than it actually is. It is kind of like high concept sci-fi, but when you're watching it, it goes down easy, very easy, like any Arnold movie.
Totally. They milk that concept for everything that it's worth. And the reason I think it doesn't work with Colin Farrell, but it does work with Arnold, is you would believe that Arnold is the leader of a resistance against a dictator on Mars just because of the way he looks.
I haven't even seen the remake, but I also believe Arnold is a construction worker, where I cannot possibly imagine Colin Farrell as one. God, he's handsome. I just rewatched Minority Report. Dashing Irishman.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But again, brilliant film. They hammer home the premise over and over again. Like, everything just builds on what comes before in such a beautiful way. You get a little Sharon Stone there.
That's right. Is she in that?
She's a very kind of early role. In
Yes,
that one,
she's not like the main.
No,
gal.
she's like
Yeah,
his girlfriend, his
That's
construction world girlfriend.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Construction world girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's right.
Back when he's living in that fake/real reality. So then he does a couple of really well-known comedies. There's Twins, which actually was the movie that made him the most money. Because,
that right?
Yeah, him
Wow.
and DeVito didn't take a salary. They said, just give us money in profits.
Shrewd.
Yeah. Well, hey, DeVito, you know. And
Shrewd.
Arnold makes $40 million off Twins.
In the 90s, too, so
Nuts.
that's probably close to like 70 million. God,
Yeah.
that's unbelievable.
I think it proves, to your point, that he can cross over into these movies. Like, if you do have a good idea for a comedy, Arnold can serve that role better than maybe a Stallone. But he's not the guy for pure comedy, and this is really borne out in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in our Batman episode. All the ice puns, pretty rough. You know, it plays on his physique. I think the strangeness of the voice can work for a Batman villain. The problem is Victor Fries is a very nuanced, kind of deep, sympathetic character. This man who is trying to find the cure for his cryogenically terminally ill wife. And so it's just a role that requires nuance and depth and heartfelt sort of portrayal, which Arnold just does not have. It's just, it devolves into just the ice puns and a slugfest, and it just kind of betrays what the character is, while they still try to kind of make him land those moments where he's like, my sweet wife, Nora, and it's just like, come on, like, no one's buying this.
Certainly not after the ice pun lines. No. I think he's really betrayed by the script. It would have been interesting maybe to see if Arnold could have toed that line, or toed that line, but it
toyed it. The other thing is, people are probably wondering what's one of the ice puns. Ice to see you. Something, chill out, bird boy, I think is one he says to Robin. Just really egregious filmmaking.
Yeah. And then after that, he has an interlude in politics, and then eventually he comes back to films for a franchise near and dear to our hearts.
Oh, yes. The Expendables. Yes. What is his name in The Expendables?
Trench Mauser.
That is The Expendables. If you don't know, just go to Wikipedia and look at like the first Expendables movie and look at all the character names. It's like Lee Christmas, and it's just like totally absurd. Every single name of the character is totally absurd.
It's sort of a Stallone-helmed project, which is fun because it brings together a lot of the old 80s action movie guys.
Yeah.
Stallone and Arnold really went back and forth in the 80s trying to get bigger, do crazier stunts, more explosions, bigger guns. And it's cool to kind of see them come together in this. But the reason that Arnold stepped away from the movies was a foray into politics, which I think is one of the strangest chapters in California history, which we will dive into right after this break. Okay, Arnold became the governor of California, not incidentally due to the Enron scandal.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Go into it.
Enron, for those who do not know, in the early 2000s, manipulated the energy markets in California, leading to rolling blackouts, which they profit upon mightily, mightily, until they get caught and busted and their stock goes kaput. But before that happens, there is a devastating energy crisis in California. Blackouts become a common thing. Energy prices go through the roof. Do you remember anything of this? It was 2003.
Not really the blackouts. I do remember complaints about energy costs, and I, of course, remember the fallout, which I'm sure you're going to get to regarding who the governor was at that time and what happens.
Do you know the governor at that time?
It's Gray Davis.
Gray Davis.
Yes, who our dad worked in the Capitol at the time. Didn't work with Gray Davis all the time, but, knew of him and his associates and such.
Yeah, so Gray Davis is essentially powerless to do anything about this. This is the George W. Bush presidency. It's all about deregulation, which is what Enron really uses to take advantage of it. And so Gray Davis is put up for a recall, and he is recalled by 55%. So not like a giant mandate.
No.
He is recalled.
California is known for this, too. Like, it seems like we have sort of a recall attempt, at least, if not recall election, kind of every, decade or so for the governor. With Gray Davis, I think it was just people frustrated with the energy crisis. And then I think a lot of people just didn't like him on a personal level. Just kind of sort of like how a lot of even Californians who voted for Gavin Newsom just kind of find him to be a sleazy, distrustworthy figure. It was a little similar, the sentiment toward Gray Davis. And then, of course, the recall just, as it always does, opened up a cattle call of California's finest and weirdest potential gubernatorial candidates.
And this is where Arnold stands out, because obviously his name recognition is through the roof in comparison to the others.
Yeah, there were some minor celebrities, I remember. I think there were some sort of Sacramento mainstay politicians who kind of thought it was their moment. And Arnold's election was, it was a huge surprise, not unlike with Trump, where it's just a Hollywood figure and you're just like, oh, my God, they actually won.
Yes.
Right?
He wins with less than 50% of the vote, gets about 48%. Can you guess how Arnold, this is probably the most famous way that people describe themselves in terms of politics. What was Arnold's sort of orientation?
Did he say, hold on, let me get it. Socially liberal, fiscally conservative. Was that it?
You have hit it right on the nose.
Yes,
and I'm doing a little research. He said he became a Republican after listening to Nixon early on in coming to America.
Which is so funny because now he's pretty anti-Trump and is pretty liberal. And honestly, in some ways. And you look at Nixonian republicanism, and it's it probably has a lot of it's more in common with the modern Democratic Party than the modern Republican Party. So it is just very funny how even in Arnold's lifetime, how much politics shifted.
Yeah, he would come from Austria, which socialism was the predominant thing, and it was not working very well. And so he heard Democratic politicians talking about things. He's like, this sounds a bit like socialism, and then Nixon is like, we need to get the government off our back. We need to strengthen up the military, and all these things are,
terrible Nixon.
Yeah, I don't know. We need to get the government off of our back.
There you go.
There we go. All right. But also, Arnold's film career was just a field day for nicknames and headlines.
Yes.
I'm sure you remember one of them.
The most famous was he was called the Governator.
The Governator, yes. There's also one of his lesser known films recently remade by Glenn Powell, The Running Man.
Oh, funny. There
And
we go.
finally, we mentioned it, Total Recall.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that is great. I missed that one.
He's just
I remember Governor. I mean, that is mwah, chef's kiss. Just totally brilliant.
couldn't have been better. Doesn't, he is elected and then he wins re-election. He's fairly popular at certain points during
Yeah.
his governorship.
Not very controversial from what I remember. I mean, are you telling me I'm wrong here? I
well,
was
I'll
a
get
young lad, certainly.
Yeah. So no, there isn't too many things that, he was known for being super controversial about, although there are a couple of very specific things. He vetoed bills that would have created single-payer health care in California and legalized gay marriage.
He voted against legalizing.
vetoed it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so
I think he's in the years since
Yeah.
softened on that.
yes,
Yeah.
he has performed, I believe, gay marriages.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of crazy that what stood in the way of single-payer health care in California was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I did not know that. I do kind of remember the California banning gay marriage was very shocking. I mean, I think that was in like 2009 or 2008. So like that is just so crazy in the recent, because I think it became federal law in 2015. And so it's just like kind of a bad look for the most, quote unquote liberal state.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, pretty wild.
To his credit, Arnold is a very early advocate for environmental issues.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
Signed multiple bills to limit emissions, kind of transform energy goals, things like that. And this is the advocacy that he's really continued after leaving office. This is the main thing. What else? There is one other thing I would say that he is most remembered for during his governorship. It had to do with the way he got around town.
Oh God! Was it did he have he didn't have like a Vespa or anything?
No,
Or
the
what do you
complete
call it?
opposite.
Oh, sorry. You just go for it.
The Hummer.
Right. Oh my God. That's right. Oh my God.
So Arnold had
I
gotten
totally forgot.
one of
That's
these
right.
decommissioned military vehicles, and he was driving it
Oh,
around.
that's so early 2000s.
Oh, my God.
Isn't it? God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. H2, H3. I forget
Yeah.
which one, but
So he,
that's funny.
it's kind of funny that he was a big environmentalist, considering
Yes.
that the Hummer. But
Yes.
also, to Arnold's credit, he had 3 different types of Hummers: one for hydrogen fuel cells, one that ran on vegetable oil, and another
Yes.
that ran on biodiesel.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
that's kind of Arnold in a nutshell there, a biodiesel Hummer.
Have your cake and eat it too. Huh?
But he eventually makes some rather poor decisions, kind of falls in with some advisors that push him in unpopular directions, and he actually leaves office with only a 23% approval rating.
Yeah, I think people had just kind of grown tired of having him. I think he had kind of grown tired of being governor because he served 2 terms, didn't he?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it kind of hit a wall where he, it just happens, if you serve 2 terms, the state, the country, your district, they're just going to get tired of you, and they're going to pick the other party in the next election. I mean, that is just so cyclically how politics seems to work.
Yeah. During this time, or right before he marries Maria Shriver, this is kind of the other side, a little bit of the tabloid side of his
Was he in
celebrity
office
existence.
when the affair and the love child broke? I think he was just out of office or
yes.
something like that.
So he had, he got the maid who had been an employee in his house for over 20 years, got her pregnant when Maria was pregnant
Yes.
with the youngest
Right.
of their 4 children.
Right.
Arnold did not even realize that he was the one who had impregnated the maid because she was living with her husband at the time, and he figured it was. And then he starts seeing this boy coming around, and it's like, that kid's got some rather distinctive Schwarzeneggerian features.
yes.
So this leads to a pretty ugly divorce, and he says this is his most painful memory and his most regretted decision. And during Me Too, he also, didn't really get fully canceled, but I think kind of came out ahead of some stuff and said that that he had crossed the line and
Yeah.
regretted the way that he had behaved.
Yeah.
And you can just sort of imagine the type of stuff that 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger might have done.
For sure.
So yeah, this is kind of where his reputation took a bit of a blow, and I think part of it too is all the stuff that started taking a blow on him. What did he had lost by the time that all of the reputation
that
had taken a
damn
dive?
perfect body had disappeared. Yeah.
Once you lose the perfect body, you're just another man. You turn from that handsome prince into a frog.
To an Austrian frog. Yeah.
And he's still in really remarkable good shape. He's on social media. He's probably most seen nowadays encouraging people to continue working out. I think every influencer, all the people that we see online showing you how to do pull-ups or showing you new calisthenics or different workouts to do, kind of owe everything to Arnold and how great that he looked in pumping iron.
You look at a lot of things that are big nowadays, like Hollywood action stars, a lot of them descend from Arnold. You look at like fitness influencers, a lot of them descend from Arnold. You look at Hollywood figures wanting to be in politics, a lot of them descend from Arnold. You look at just people wanting to live the American dream, a lot of them inspired by Arnold. So yeah, he is, I would say, one of the most important consequential figures in like American pop culture. And gosh, I don't know, the last 50 years. I mean, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that at all.
No, certainly not. And his legacy is carried on in some ways by his son, Patrick Schwarzenegger, who, I think does have some of Arnold's like chiseled looks, if you will, but sort of also shares maybe his somewhat limited acting range. He's much more of an actor as opposed to Arnold, who kind of came in through the back door.
Yes, he's solid good. Yeah. I mean, he's solid in White Lotus. It's kind of a slam dunk character for how he looks. Mm-hmm. He's 10% goofy looking. He's very handsome, but there is like kind of, that he sort of has like kind of a goofy smile. But yeah, no, I think he'll probably carve out a nice little career post White Lotus. He seems to be in demand. So hey, hats off.
Hats off. One note on White Lotus: not our favorite plot line. The brother
yes.
one.
Right,
That
the bros hooking up. We were watching that together, and we were like, geez,
this is not what brothers are like.
No. If you watch White Lotus and you wonder if brothers are like that, I assure you, they are not. They are not at all.
They are not like
we
that.
We may podcast together, but that's kind of where we draw the line.
Yeah, that's the only thing where I will reach my hand over to my brother. All right, so I thought now it would be fun to kind of go through some of Arnold's feats, the things that he's done in his lifetime, and see if we think anybody else will ever do them. Certainly nobody will ever do all of the things that Arnold did in his life. No one will ever go from bodybuilder to movie star to politician back to movie star, all of these things. That will not happen. So here we go. Will a bodybuilder cross over and become a movie star?
Bodybuilding, like you said, man, it's so weird now with the fake tanning and everything. I mean, geez, nothing's impossible. I'm going to kind of just say no, though. I mean, to be honest, and this is very sad to say, they're kind of two slowly decaying art forms. Bodybuilding much more so than film. Film is still very strong, but it's like, we teach, we're pretty in tune with what sort of entertainment tastes kids nowadays have. Not a lot of them are going to the movie theater. Not a lot of them are watching movies. And so that is just something that, we love and we really enjoy, but it is just something that is not as popular as it was when Schwarzenegger was in both of these art forms. So yeah, I don't know. Bodybuilding's just too weird now. I just can't imagine anyone would have the notoriety to cross over and people would be like excited they're crossing over unless there was some Netflix pumping iron type documentary profiling these people.
Yeah, I don't see it happening because I think Arnold is pretty unique in terms of bodybuilders, in terms of his intelligence, his charisma, his handsomeness, the fact that he could be as big as he was and not be like weird. You can still put him next to people and it looks right. Like you can buy him being in conventional society. in the heightened reality that is films. So
I guess the caveat is no one will be a movie star. They may cross over and be in movies and play thug number 2 or, some supporting roles, but I don't think anyone's going to be like leading man, superstar.
no. Beyond that, will a star of a documentary ever become a movie star actor?
I can see that for sure. Documentaries to me are becoming more and more rigid and sort of scripted. They're so polished how they're shot nowadays that they feel cinematic. I mean, geez, like Kim Kardashian was on a reality show, and now she's kind of like a TV and not film, but TV star, right? So yes, I do think that is something where it's a pretty easy transition. If you live performatively, people are going to give you a chance at giving a performance.
That's true. I guess I didn't think about reality shows sort of as a documentary type thing. Like Cardi B, you could also say as another person who made that sort of crossover, but in a different field. Will a movie star ever have such a thick accent?
I'm trying to think of if there's any movie stars right now with like a really thick accent. I can't really think of one at all.
The closest I could think of are like Anna de Armas, maybe early on had a bit of an accent. Jackie Chan, you could see maybe somebody who's really gifted in martial arts.
Bad Bunnies in some movies. I'll say yes. I do think it's possible. We're becoming a more inclusive world, a more understanding world. So I do think it is possible. Now, whether that's an Austrian accent, I don't know about that, but I do think yes, we will have similar to Arnold, someone who's kind of uses their strong accent to their advantage. I think that's a good gift you can have if channeled properly.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a global culture that we have. Would an immigrant to California ever become governor again?
Yeah,
I
can
think
see
so
that
too.
for sure. California's, compared to some other states and our sort of national view of the subject, a little more friendly to immigrants, I would say, for the most part. So yeah, I think they're generally celebrated and welcome in California, and I could totally see that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
From Austria, no, I just don't. I don't know how many people are coming here from Austria anymore.
Not too many.
We got Christoph Waltz, and since then it's been it's dwindling, we'll say.
Will a movie star ever become governor of California again?
I can't think of anyone who it would happen with now, but geez, over the next 50 to 100 years, I have to imagine. So I'll say, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's becoming a politician now is so much different, I think, than it used to be. Even when Arnold was governor, I think you need to be somebody who has name recognition off the bat, somebody who's well-versed in social media, and somebody who has charisma and sort of a forward-facing personality.
It seems to be, though, it'll be kind of these more conservative Hollywood types who leave Hollywood and then go to like where they're from in Minnesota or Kentucky and then like run for Congress and become like a congressperson or a mayor. So I do wonder if it could happen still in California.
I could see, though, on the
think
Democratic
so.
side,
Oh, yeah.
different,
Oh,
because
God,
I think one thing that Democrats have really lacked for is just star power,
For sure.
like somebody who's a politician who really has that charisma and gravitas.
100%.
And that could be something
Yeah.
that would happen.
see
Again, off the top of my head,
I
any
couldn't think of
any
anyone.
picks,
I
any
don't
picks
know.
at all? Brian Cranston,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
don't know. I
There
don't
we go.
know.
We
Drew
threw it to
Barrymore. I don't know.
All right. And as your final test, buddy, you don't have the paper in front of you.
No, should I grab it?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay.
Spell Schwarzenegger.
Oh my God! All right. SCHWARZENAGGER.
So close.
Oh.
You had an A where an E should be.
Oh, God.
It
Come
is
on.
SCHWARZENEGGER.
Ah, 2 E's at the end.
It's
there.
all E's after that first A. I made the exact same spelling error.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
That's a.
That was a fun way to end it, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job there.
I sort of thought you would nail it, but
I'm usually pretty good at spelling,
Yeah.
but goodness sake,
It's a hard one.
You didn't exactly give me an easy one there.
no, that is probably the toughest last name to spell.
It was very tough. TOUGH.
Nice. There he is.
Now I'm back.
He's
Now
back.
I'm back. Call it, buddy.
Call it.
All right, please subscribe, comment, leave a rating. Send questions, comments, or big idea suggestions to our business email, flynnbrospod@gmail.com. Thank you to our producer, Will Slade, and we'll see you next time on the Flynn Brothers Podcast. Take care, buddy.
Nobody, you take care.